shoot pool fast, Eddie. No, I'm not going to talk about my Borders Language Culture platform if I decide to run for the California Senate against Di-Fi. As you know, she's been running only because she's there and because she represents the one-party state with absolutely no platform whatsoever. But again, she's being challenged by people so far to the left that it looks like we have a choice between Marx. If you don't like Marx, you can have Lenin. You don't like Lenin, we can give you Trotsky. If you don't like Trotsky, we can give you Stalin. That's what California is becoming. They're actually so crazy in the state that they're calling her a conservative. And if she loses, and she will one day lose, and the Marxist, Leninist, Trotskyites take over the Senate and the California State Assembly, as they already have, and the governorship, why should they stop at 15% state taxes? Why shouldn't it be 25%? And while they're at it, why shouldn't they seize houses from people who have houses if they're not occupied? I mean, if you have a house with 4 bedrooms and you and your wife, let's say, live in 1 bedroom, why shouldn't you be forced to give up those 3 bedrooms to illegal aliens from, well, sorry, excuse me, they're no longer illegal aliens, to anyone they want to put in there? Homeless people in 1 room, people from Mexico who are not citizens in another room, ISIS members in the 3rd bedroom. Isn't that the way it was done in the Soviet Union after the Bolshevik Revolution? Well, we're on the verge of the Bolshevik Revolution in America, so I'm not going to talk about it. In fact, I came up with a novel thought for today, which is penis envy. I was thinking about what drives political discourse today. And given that I have a classical background in education that's very, very, very wide, my reading is wide, my learning is wide, I was remembering an earlier theory of Freud's called penis envy theory. And I thought that has something to do, doesn't it, with the political discourse of today. And many people have probably never heard of penis envy, but it's actually a psychosexual development theory of Sigmund Freud that's been dismissed by the radical feminists who have taken over every area of learning, including psychology. But I thought about, does Freud's penis envy theory drive political discourse today? And tied into that is, what is toxic feminism? Now, we've heard of toxic masculinity, but has anyone dared question what is toxic feminism? We know what it is. We all know what toxic feminism is. So I want to think about Freud's psychosexual development theory for a minute, which he says the phallic stage is the first one between the ages of 3.5 and 6, the first period of development, in which the libidinal focus of the boy is primarily on the genital area. Anyone who has a child knows that's true. Prior to this stage, before the boy is 3.5, the libido, defined by Freud as the primary motivating energy force within the mind, that's certainly true. Look at Harvey Weinstein and all the others. The libido focuses on other physiological areas. For example, in the oral stage, in the first 12 to 18 months of life, Freud thought libidinal needs concentrated on the desire to eat, sleep, suck, and bite. Sounds like a liberal in Marin County. The theory suggests that the penis becomes the organ of principal interest to both sexes in the phallic stage. Well, then what happens? Well, that becomes the catalyst for a series of pivotal events in psychosexual development. And these events, according to Freud, known as the Oedipus complex for boys, you've all heard about that, and the Electra complex for girls, result in significantly different outcomes for each sex because of differences in anatomy. Now, I have to add that many feminists are critical of penis envy theory as a concept. They're even critical of psychoanalysis as a discipline. And that's because they're no good at it. And they argue that the assumptions and approaches of the psychoanalytic project are patriarchal, anti-feminist, misogynistic, and represent women as broken or deficient men. Now, there's a German psychoanalyst named Karen Horney, which is quite ironic as far as I am concerned, how Ms. Horney dismisses Mr. Freud as the subject for a YouTube cartoon. You know what I'm saying? Karen Horney, I'm not making the name up, you can't make this stuff up, a German psychoanalyst who also placed great emphasis on childhood experience and psychological development, was an advocate of this anti-Freudian view. She asserted the concept of womb envy, of course she had to be equal to men, and saw masculine narcissism as underlying the mainstream Freudian view. Now, why am I talking about penis envy? For two reasons. Because I thought about Trump hatred and how irrational it has become. And I was wondering, what's the psychological basis for this insanity? And then I realized he represents... do I have to finish the paragraph? After we had 8 years of the wimp, Barack Obama. He was a wimp. He didn't represent masculinity. He represented something else, something metrosexual, to use an earlier phrase. But he didn't represent the 1950s masculine image, did he? Freud represents 1950s America with all its warts. I'm Freud, sorry, I mean Trump. I said Freud. Talk about a Freudian slip. That's a Trumpian slip. Trump represents 1950s masculinity. Purely the tie, the suit, the tallness, the whiteness, the macho-ness, the boldness. All of it is the masculine image of the 1950s, isn't it? Which is why he is reviled by those who have never outgrown their father hatred. Now, I'm going to take a pause and take a sip of some caffeine right now. And if you're bored of this topic of penis envy and how it might define our political discourse today, which I think is a great topic, it intrigues me. And, you know, talk radio has to be a little more versatile than it's become. Anti-Trump, pro-Trump, whatever. Let everyone do what they can do. You know what I'm saying? That's so good. Coffee is so good. I love the taste of coffee in the afternoon. But getting back to my idea of political discourse today, why there's such hatred for Trump and how it might be related to psychological theories along the lines of penis envy as expressed by Freud, I realize it's probably over the head of the average listener. They've already tuned out. It's not, they haven't heard it. Haven't heard it anywhere, haven't seen it anywhere. But my guess is you'll be hearing about penis envy over the next few days in the media. It'll just show how ideas are. I throw the pebble out and the ripples, you know.